This conference will now be recorded.
Thank you, Karen.
Yeah, all 28 pages of it I got.
I had a printing problem. My printer printed like the first 5 pages, then stopped. And then I tried to tell it only to print page 6 through 28. It printed the first 5 pages again. So I cut up a bunch into scrap paper.
Sorry.
That's not your fault. I don't know why my printer was being funny. Not in a funny way.
Not in a ha-ha sense.
No.
Okay.
Meg,
Meg, hello.
you know how Sue's doing?
Last I heard, she had to go back to the hospital again for her hands being in pain. And the doctors were recommending that she go to a rehabilitation center, which her husband did not want her to do. And that was the last I heard.
Oh my goodness, that poor woman.
I know, but it doesn't sound like she's getting any better.
Oh, that's awful.
I know. And they can't even figure out what it is.
That's terrible.
If you talk to her, tell her we're thinking of her.
Yes.
I will do that.
Thanks.
Okay. There's Laura. Hi again.
Hello again.
Is your internet working, Lee? Lee Ward, can you hear me? Maybe not. Okay, well, it was a few pages of handout this time. Oh, I need Karen to make me the presenter too. Let's see if I can do that.
So Diane, I tried your image stitch.
Hi, Jennifer. Can I talk to Karen, please?
It worked out great for me.
Did it work good? It's funny, I had just seen that day. If I had to go find it now, I couldn't remember their names, but they might have some kind of interesting stuff out there.
Yeah, you can remember their names.
Well, I sent it to Judy, so all I'll have to do is look back in my texts. I should write it down. I don't know if your memory works that way, but I'm like, I know it's Foster something.
Yeah, I don't remember names. See, I made little petals.
Oh, you did? Show us. Oh, cute.
Yeah. And this is why I couldn't do the applique, because I needed to turn them inside out, you know. So I needed the bottom open.
Well, they had you slit something on the back and then turn them.
Right, but I want to be able to use both sides.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Good morning, Liz. Okay. Can everybody hear me? Liz, can you hear me? Put your earphones on.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. All righty, I'm going to go ahead and I guess we'll get started. Morning, Peggy. And I will share my screen so we're looking at the software. And let me see if I can, nope, I can't do that. Let's see. All right, doggone it. Ah, there, I can do that. All right. Can everybody see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, if you can't see it, please tell me. All right, so today we are talking about film strip fun. And this is a lesson that Janie Lance has prepared for us. It is in usual Janie wonderful style with lots of information and lots of new things that she wants us to know about in the software. So the first page and a half is the usual reset your machine to, what does she call it? Reset all apps, which I don't do, but if that's what you want to do, go right ahead. I don't think mine are that far off from the norm that you will not be able to follow. So we want to open up the MySewnet embroidery, and we want to, I'm on page 2, page 3, I'm sorry, number 3, page 3, number 6. Hui. We want to select a blank canvas, and we want to select a hoop that is 360 by 200. I need to reset my brain. And we want it in rotated orientation. And okay. Oh, I can see what you see. Thank you, machine. All right, so we're going to talk about our friend over here on the left, which is currently blank and called the film strip. And if you've used the software, you've certainly used the film strip before, but I just want to do a little review of all the information that Janie has given us in case we need a little jogging out of our memory. So normally when we start off with a new design, it's blank. And as you add things to your work area, you will, for each thing you add or each design, you will get what is called a frame over in your film strip. And in that frame on the right-hand side will be a little symbol that tells you what kind of an element you have added into your work area. Also down at the bottom of the film strip are these icons, which are little tools which let us manipulate the frames within the film strip. On page 4, Janie has given us a nice listing of all of the little symbols that are used within the frames to tell us what kind of a design we have, and we'll be looking at those as we go through this exercise. And then she explains to us what these tools are down here at the bottom. And if you hover your mouse over each one, it will tell you its name and what its function is. Any questions on any of that so far? Yes, Diane.
I can't get my Sew-net to open anything where I can pick that. Can even pick my hoop. I don't know what I did I did the update. I'm going to restart my machine. See if that
Okay.
does it. I mean, I can do it on the machine I'm watching you on, but I can't do it all on one machine. I guess I could. It's weird that I would do the update and then it wouldn't work right. Did everybody else do the update?
I did, it was fine.
Yeah, I have done it, but we're not on a Mac. You're on a
True.
Mac, right?
Yes. I think the universe tries to tell me something on these days because I'm always like the what do you call that student in the class? I'm sorry, go ahead, I'll catch up.
All right, well, at least in Janie's write-up, she has all the information about the Mac commands and so forth, which is extremely helpful for you.
So if I get too confused, I'll just take off on my own through the.
Okay, or just watch.
Don't stop because of me. Yeah.
And Judith, I'm switching computers, so I'll come back on. I'm going to hit a different one. So I will leave and come back on a different one. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Sandy. All right, so what our project is in this exercise is to create a sampler placemat. And by sampler, Janie means that she's going to take us through doing several different things to create the pieces that we're going to add to our placemat. So the first thing we want to do is come up to our insert command up here on the very top left and click on that. And what we want to insert is something that is in our sampler folder. So we will need to navigate to our sampler folder in MySewnet. It's not sampler, it's samples. And in that samples folder, we want to go to plugin, and we want to go to stitch, and come on, stitch. There we go. And then the flowers folder, we want to pick the magic flower. And that's what it looks like if you have icons coming up. We want to open that magic flower, and it ends up right in the middle of our placemat, which is okay. Now, when it has we've put it on our work area, and in the film strip, we have a frame for that design, and it has a symbol that says that this is an embroidery design. And if you hover over the symbols, it tells you what symbol that is. If we right click in that frame or in the work area, we get a pop-up menu. And there are different actions that we can do, such as delete, duplicate, copy, and so forth in that pop-up menu. And the items that show up in the pop-up menu for things that are in the film strip can change based on whatever kind of design or element we're looking at. One of the things that came up in our pop-up menu was Edit in Stitch Editor, which is what we want to do with our little flower. So if we click on Edit in Stitch Editor, we get this little linking window up at top telling us that it was opening Stitch Editor. So now we see a second window, and it is the Stitch Editor window. And what we want to do is, right now everything is one color. If you look over on your design panel and the color list, you see one color. What we want to do is change the center of our flower to a different color. So we want to zoom in on that so we can see exactly where the stitches go from the petals of the flower to the center. And we need to zoom in. We can do that by using the zoom slider down here at the bottom right. Or we could have used the zoom to rectangle tool over to the left of the zoom slider. So I'm going to just click on the plus here for a minute to get mine nice and big. And then we don't want to see the petals. We want to get some stitches out of our way so we can see exactly where we're going from one part of the flower to the other. And one way to do that is this long bar that is down at the bottom that has a green marker at the left end and a red marker at the right end, kind of like start and stop. So when when you move those, you're at the beginning of the design. And as you move it along, it takes them off of the screen. It doesn't take them out of the design, but it takes them off of the screen. And we want to take all of the petals off except just a little couple stitches. And then we want to see underneath this satin stitching here. So we will put
Judy,
yeah.
Judy, I have a problem. When I say edit in, you know, that one step, the first step where it says edit,
In Stitch Edit.
stitch. Yeah, so I get the screen. Then when I hit the thing to enlarge it, it takes that one away and brings in my original screen. And the edit thing is gone.
Well, if you look at mine, my Stitch Editor screen is just a little bit shorter than.
Well, that's what mine was. Oh,
Okay.
I guess I hit on the wrong thing. That's what I did.
Yeah, if you get down on the bottom one, you're on your original screen.
Okay. I see.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Look at the bottom of your Windows screen. You've probably got Stitch Editor down below. What is it called? The taskbar or something? It's probably open down there.
Okay. All right. So if we grab the red slider, we will hide the stitches from the end of our embroidery. So we want to slide that up until we just barely see, whoopsie, it's always hard. And when you can't get it to get right where you want it to, the two numbers over on the bottom left here, this is where we are coming from the start of the design, and this is where we are coming from the end of the design. So if I want to erase a few more stitches, I can do that there, or I can add some more or take them away from the view by going up and down with the numbers in those boxes. Does that make sense? Okay, so we want to be on page 7 on number 10. Janie says to be on stitch 1269. That was where she oopsie. Come on. Oops. All right. All right, I'll go in the right way now. Okay.
Now, Judy, she used the ghost mode for something, which I'm not sure. Did you already do that? Because there's nothing on your screen.
I know. I'm sorry I missed that. Got lost a bit here. Okay. Okay, ghost mode shows you the petals, and that's why I have a blue background, because I had a white one when I was practicing, and I changed my background to blue so I could see the petals, because the ghost mode will put them in white. So if you can't see them on your screen, maybe your background color is white.
I think I am in ghost mode because I can see them, and my background's kind of bluish,
Okay,
like yours.
great.
Yay.
Thank you for catching me up here. Okay, I found out that when I did better on getting my color change where I needed it for this, if I was on if I went to 1270 instead of 1269. So you can try it either way and see which one works for you. So in order to change the color of the center of our flower, we need to go to modify up here on the top left. Need to go to that menu, and we can, over in the middle of our screen here, there's an insert color command tool. Click on that and hello, come on. And come down to where these stitches make a turn here and click, and it brings up our color selection window. Now notice that the range of colors that it's showing here is sulky metallic, because this little flower design was designed with metallic threads, not just regular colored threads. It's designed with metallic threads. So if we want to make it gold, then if we click on this kind of yellow orange square up here, it brings us up as a gold thread, and we say okay. So now this little C with the circle says that we have a color change there. And if we go to the draw all stitches icon down at the bottom right, you can see that now we have silver petals and a gold center. Okay? You okay, Diane?
How could you tell? No.
Your mic came on.
That's because I think I slapped my face. I went like this. You heard it. Because all my stitches are gone again and my slider bars don't do anything. So I don't know what I did.
Do you have this draw all stitches icon down at the bottom?
Yeah, I do.
By your ghost mode?
Okay, that's what I need to do. And then I need to go back. Till I just have a couple stitches left. And then what happened is when I clicked on the color select, is your box checked under color select? And then click on the paint thing and pick a new color, right?
You go into the modify, and then you say insert color command, and your cursor changes to this little palette like mine is now.
Okay.
And then you click on where you want your color change to happen. And then your color select box comes up. If I click there, again, this is what I get. Then I pick my color, which was gold, and I say okay. And it puts it in there.
Okay, I'm gonna have to read through the MAC directions, but go ahead.
Okay, well, she doesn't have anything in here that's, unless you couldn't find the modify thing.
Well, I found it.
Pardon?
I found it, but everything's green now because I changed the color, but the whole thing's a different color instead of just.
Okay. Well, do you have the little number things down at the bottom that tell you where you start? Well, you can adjust where you need. You can just swipe over a number and type in like 1270.
Right.
You don't have to arrow through them. Okay.
Okay, there's my 3 little stitches, and then I went into the modify stitch, and then I click on the color palette, the
insert color command,
which is modify stitch.
No, it's called Insert Color Command.
Okay, I'm in modify. What does mine look like? Well, that's what it. Okay, but it gave me the little palette thing. So I click on those few stitches and change it to gold.
Yes.
Okay, so those few stitches are gold, but it didn't show all of mine in the circle. Is that because I need to change my?
Then you need to do the draw all stitches to see everything.
Oh, and then there's.
Number 13 on
Okay.
page
Yeah.
7.
So yeah, my petals are green and the middle of my flower is gold, but that's fine.
Okay.
I think I can figure out how to change the green.
Okay, so now we're finished with our flower. If you want to see the whole flower, you can zoom back to fit so it's in the center of the hoop again. But we're finished editing it, so we can close our stitch editor window by coming up to the top and clicking on the X up at the top, and it pops us back into our embroidery screen. Okay. All right, if you want to see what it looks like in life view, you can come up to the top and click on your life view icon up there, and it'll pop up the window in life view and show it to you. All right, and cancel or the X up at the top to get out of life view. Now, as
Judy,
we go, yes.
where is life view? Oh, in preview? Okay, found it. Thank you, sorry.
No problem.
I need to go through that icon exercise that she had back here that tells you what all those things are,
Okay.
but not now, clearly. Sorry.
All right. So it's a good idea as we go through putting pieces together to build something that every so often we save this in case we mess up and need to backstep. So on number 16, if we click our Save As icon up at the top, which is the fourth one from the left, it will take us into a folder where we can save it. And she suggests we save it as placemat. And it's saving it as a VP4 file. All right, everybody up to date with that? All right, on page 8, we are going to insert an EDO file. An EDO file is a working file in digitizing, and MySewnet will allow us to bring one of those types of files into our work area to be a part of another design. So let's see, you could design your own if you went into digitizing under create, or you could use a different one, but for now we are going to use something from the samples folder. So we're going back up and going to insert using the icon up at the top at the left. And we are going to go to our sample folder again. And in our sample folder, we are going to go to the digitizing folder. And under digitizing, we're going to go to the EDO folder. And at the very end of that list of files in the digitizing folder, EDO folder, is this leaf. I'm sorry, I double clicked instead of saying open, so it just popped it back into my hoop here. All right, and if we go over to the film strip, we have another frame over here. It's showing our leaves, and it shows a different symbol. And if you hover over it, it tells us that it is a design object. Okay, if you look with that selected, if you look over in your design panel and look at your colors, you see that you have quite a few color changes for this one thing, which actually only uses 2 colors. So we want to minimize that somewhat. So we can right click over our frame number 2, or we can right click in the work area and bring up a pop-up box. And we want to click on the second entry in that pop-up box, which is edit in digitizing this time, not stitch edit, but digitizing, because it was a digitizing element that we picked. And now it opens in digitizing, and it looks a little different here. This light green part is actually the background that the stitches were digitized from. So in the box area on page 9, she tells us how we can get those 2 lined up. So we are going to do what she tells us here. We're going up to the top, up to the View tab, and we are going to click on the Edit Background symbol. And when we do that, it's going to open Draw and Paint. And it's going to have just the background on the screen, because that's what we told it we wanted to deal with. Then up at the top in the select area, we are going to click on Select All, so it selects the whole background design. And then over on the right hand side, under the Edit portion, which is the last set of icons, we want to select the one with the 4 arrows going toward the center, which says Center in Hoop. So once it's centered in the hoop, we've done what we need to in Draw and Paint. And it's not going to let me. It put my screen, there we go. I couldn't see my X for the meeting windows. If we close that, it's going to take us back to our digitizing window, because that's where we came from. But now our background is lined up behind our actual stitches. All right. Now we want to reduce the number of colors that we have here. And you'll notice over on the design panel that you have 4 of the color bars have numbers on them, but the other 3 color bars have this funny little double arrow symbol. And if you look at over in the film strip, some of the color bars on the left side of the frames have 2 colors in them. And that's where those little extra color bars in the design panel come from, is those bars that are 2 colors in your film strip. But we're going to get rid of this duplication of colors. In order to do that, we're going to right click or click on frame 3, so we select part of the leaf there, and then right click over it, and we are going to use delete. We're just going to get rid of that part, that pattern fill. You can use delete here, or you could use the delete key on your keyboard. So now that's gone. And we've gotten rid of one of the extra color bars in our design panel. Now we have a new frame 3, which is a color change. We don't want that in there either, so we're gonna select that. And again, we can use the delete key on the keyboard to get rid of it, or you could right click over it and delete it there. And we also want to get rid of number 4 to delete that. So now you should have 6 6 frames in your film strip. And we want to adjust the properties of the multi-wave, the leaves in this design. So if we select one of the multi-waves and we right click on it, down at the bottom, the thing right next to the bottom, we're going to select global properties. And that means anything that is that kind of an object, in this case a multi-wave fill, will be affected when we change something using this global properties. And when it comes up, it says multi-wave fill, and we want to select the line tab down below multi-wave fill. And there's a box down here that says insert color change, and it's selected. If we unclick that box and then say OK, now those color bars on those multi-wave fills are just one color, and over in the design panel, we have gotten rid of those extra non-numbered color bars. And the fill in all of the 3 leaves is a line fill. We got rid of that one that had the dots in it. And I'm gonna just show you what happens if I'd picked a different one. I'm undoing what I just did, and I'm going to select the one that has the dots in it, just to show you what happens if I had selected that one first. I'm going to select it, right click, go to global properties, go to the line tab, remove the insert color change, and it still says multi-wave fill up there, and I say OK. Now it has used the multi-wave fill that is in the leaf that I selected. It put the dots in all the leaves instead of the lines. When I did it before, I selected a leaf that had lines in it, and that's what it used as its standard for filling all of them when I said global properties, rather than just saying properties, which would have only worked on one leaf. Does that make sense? Understandable? Questions? I'm going to go back. I'm going to undo it again and go back and pick one of the ones that has lines in it, because I want to have lines in all 3 of my leaves and not dots.
So let me ask you a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Those little extra color changes was strictly because of that box checked in the multi-wave. That's how you got it, right?
Right, because
Okay.
it applies to the line. What it's saying is I'm going to insert a different color on an object that has a pattern fill. The fill will be one color, and the line that goes around the fill would be a different color. That's what that box does for you.
Okay, so no matter what kind of fill you had.
Exactly.
Oh, okay, all right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, it allows you to have, if you wanted a dark green line around your leaves and the inside of them to be a light green, you could do that instead of the gold. And that's why you get this little extra piece of color in the color bar for those items in your film strip.
Yeah, I had never seen that before, I guess, or noticed it anyway.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that Janie brings to our attention that we kind of just gloss over and haven't paid attention to previously. And that's good. I mean, she is super detail oriented, and that's great. So now,
Could I,
yes, Sandy.
I did global properties on every one of the multi-wave. Well, I did the multi-wave global properties. I still have the little knobby things. I can't seem to get and I unchecked the line. I'm not getting lines for some reason like you have. I like yours.
Okay, well, let's go back.
Okay.
Now I'm back where I have dots in the top one and lines in the bottom two, okay?
No, I have dots on every one of them, but I'll go to the top one. Let me go to the,
Go do undo.
oh, very good. Oh, gee, okay. God, I keep forgetting about undo. Okay, now I'm back to looking like you. I'm looking like you.
All right. Don't forget your friend undo. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So select like number
All
3,
this. Okay, I'll select it.
right click and go to global properties.
Got it.
Okay. And now it says multi-line wave fill at the top here, right? For your pattern.
Correct.
Fill. Okay.
Correct.
Now you're going to use your line tab here.
Got it.
Get this. And I happen to pick one that doesn't have a color change, but that's okay. I'm going to still say okay. And it's
okay,
work.
that worked. That worked. Okay.
All right. Wonderful.
All righty. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Okay. So now we've gotten rid of all those I'm calling extraneous colors. And we can change our leaves to some leaf colors or different leaf colors. So on page 10, click on over in your design panel, click on number 1 color bar, double click on it, I'm sorry. So you get your color selection box and then pick a nice green color that you want for the inside of your leaves. I happen to pick, what was it, 23, 22. And my problem with doing this is I'll type in a number and then I'll rush down and hit OK, but you need to wait if you type in a number for the color to change in the box before you hit OK. Sometimes I'm in a hurry and I hit OK too fast. So when I do now, I have this lime green color in number 1, and we also want to change number 2. So I am using 2221. You can use whatever green color you would like. All right. And now my leaves are outlined in a darker color. Okay, with that. All right, now we are finished with chopping up these leaves and making them different colors, so we can close this window and go back. Yes?
Mine aren't outlined. It just has, the stem is the dark color. My leaves are light and so can you go back and let me see your film strip in digitizing to where the color change is on yours?
Actually, if you look at the film strip, it is just the stem. It's not the outline.
Okay, yeah, all right, great, thank you.
Mine's that way too.
No problem. Thank you for correcting that.
No, it just, I was hoping it was outlining the leaves and it didn't, but that's where you'd have to use it. In the multi-wave, you'd have to
You would, yes, you would have,
insert that color change, right?
exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. So we're back to our basic embroidery screen with our flower and our leaves, and we want to add something else. So we are going to add a super design. So up at the top, select your super design menu. We want to be in the flowers and leaves category. We want to see all of our flowers and leaves. So drop it down so you can see them, because we want to come to the very last section, and we want number 7, swirl 2. So click on that. It selects it. Let's see. We want to come over here and click on select style, and notice that we have some options of how this gets put in our hoop, our work area. It can be put in as a color, it can be put in as a multicolor, it could be put in as a line, just an outline. But we want to use color. We're going to leave our size at 160, and we're going to apply. So now it has put our little swirl in our work area and added another element over, or another frame over in our film strip. And this time we have a different symbol, which tells us it is a super design. All right, now we are going to, on page 11, we are going up to our Create tab, and we are going with our third frame, our scrolling thing that we just put in here from Super Designs. We're going to go to Insert Digitizing. So click on Insert Digitizing, and it's opening another window. And it's an empty window because we clicked on the tool, we didn't click on a design. So it opens an empty window. And it says create express embroidery, but we don't want to do that. What we want to do is cancel out of the wizard. So we have just our blank screen here. And then we are coming up here in the Home tab in Digitizing. Come over to the right to the Insert section here. And you'll notice there is an entry that says Insert a Super Design. Click on that Insert Super Design. You get another window over on the left corner, and we can search for something, or we can open up categories just like we could in embroidery when we clicked on Super Design. So drop that down and select Flowers and Leaves again, and then open the gallery using this little down arrow with a line above it, and it looks just like the window we saw before. Come down to the bottom and select the same design that we just inserted in our embroidery window, number 7, swirl 2. All right, and this time in our style box, color is the default, but we want to drop that down and select line. And when we do that, we're going to leave the size at 160 and click on insert now. And we can close our super design box with the X on top. Okay, now it shows us that this design in the film strip in digitizing, it shows us that this design came in as grouped. It has two things in it. It has a color change and it has our design. We want to work with our design, so we need to ungroup it. So we can right click over the orange part of the design, or we can come up here in our toolbar and click the down arrow under the group symbol and say ungroup. When we do that, the orange bar disappears and we have two things left in our film strip. We want to work on the triple stitch part. So if you click on triple stitch to select only it and then right click to get your drop down menu, we want to go down almost to the bottom to properties. And we get a fill area and line box that we can manipulate our design that we just brought in. We want to come over to the line indicator over here on the right and click on the little arrow and select motif line. When we do that, then we get an opportunity to select what motif we want to use. In our group, we want to say universal. In the category, we want to say candle wicking 2. So click on candle wicking 2 and we want stitch number 1, which is what's showing here. Okay, in Mac, you say, okay, Diane. Everybody else in Windows, we want to change our minimum gap to 2.0. And then Windows people click OK. So now, instead of just being a plain triple stitch line, we have a line of candle wick stitches spaced 2 millimeters apart for our design. Okay, questions?
That's cool.
Thank you. It is cool, yes.
I'm just glad I'm caught up.
Me too.
That I
Okay,
can say it's cool because that's what it looks like.
all right. So now
Judy, how come yours has got all those little dots and mine's got a straight line?
did you, in your properties box, did you change it up here to motif line?
Oh, where, up where?
When you, okay, let me close this. Here over in your film strip, did you right click on motif line, the number 2 frame, and come down to properties?
The number 2 frame.
Did you ungroup it?
No,
Okay, you have to ungroup it, which you can do.
okay, it doesn't ungroup. Oh, now it did, now it did.
Okay, now just click on the number 2 one, the motif line,
Okay,
right click on it. And when in the pop-up box, come down to properties.
where did what number is that? Where did I lose it? Oh, I see. Properties, okay. And
Okay.
then get motif fill.
Motif line, not fill,
Line, motif line.
on the right-hand side, not the left-hand side. You still want no fill.
I got it. I got it.
Okay, and then now you get this box with all these choices in it, right?
Yeah.
You want your group to be universal,
Uh-huh.
your category to be candle wicking 2,
Okay.
and then you want stitch number 1, which is what's showing. And then
Okay.
right below that, you want your minimum gap to be 2.0.
2.0. Okay, and that's it.
And that's it. Click OK down at the bottom.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. All right. So now we are done with our digitizing, and we're going to close that window and go back to our embroidery screen. And so now both of our super designs are stacked together, and it kind of looks cool that way. But we're going to get rid of the original one we brought in. So click on frame number 3, the satin stitch swirly thing, and either use your delete key on your keyboard or right click to get your pop-up menu and come down and select delete. All right, I believe Janie had us put that first one in and then do something with the same design again to show us that you could have it as a color design, or you could have it as a line design, and then you could change the line to something besides just triple stitches. So she's just showing us a couple different ways to use some of our super designs. All right. Now, on page 12, number 41, we want to echo the first thing that we put in here, our flower. We want to make a ribbon design that looks very much like our flower. So we need to select our flower by clicking on it in the film strip, and then it puts a selection box around it in our work area. So grab somewhere in that selection box, not the center where the rotate thing is, and drag it out to an open space. All right. Then we want to zoom in, so again to our flower, and I'm going to use the zoom to rectangle tool and box my flower. So now my flower is filling my screen. Then we are going up to the top, and we are going to click on our embellish tab. Now, this is where some of the changes happened in the latest update. Besides our ribbon embellishment, we can now have yarn embellishment for the new attachment on the Thoth machines and a string of beads. Previously, we had ribbon and decoration, and a decoration can be sequins or crystals or individual beads, whatever. But now we have the 2 extra things that came with the Icon 2 and the new attachment for the Icon 2. So that was one of the big biggies for the new update. But we're going to use ribbon, which is available for the current icon with the ribbon attachment. All right, we want to come over to the draw line. We make sure that your ribbon symbol is attached. Come over to draw line and click on it, and then select point line rather than freehand line. I can't draw decent freehand line, so I always pick point line. When we do that, it opens a ribbon selection box, which lets us pick the color of our ribbon and the size of our ribbon. And these do not mean that you have to use that color ribbon, just like when you make a thread a certain color, that you have to use that color thread. The machine's not going to know any different. And the size of the ribbon is just to give you so you can envision how that width of ribbon will look in the design you've made. It doesn't mean that that's the size ribbon that you have to use, or that it will insist that you use, because it doesn't know. All right, so I'm going to use an 8mm wide ribbon for my choice. And I picked, instead of yellow as it says in the instruction, I'm going to pick something like a dark pink that'll show up on my screen for you. All right, so once I've picked my colors and I say okay, my cursor now, I have a little dot with my arrow, so that's my point to set. If I want to, that will make a round point or a curved point. If I want to make a straight point or a sharp corner, if I hold down my shift key and click, then I get a square point. And if I release my shift key, then I get my round points. So now we need to follow the petals around and set points for our ribbon design to create the stitches to make our ribbon flower. And we're using our first flower as a pattern for this. So you can just, and I found that if you put a point right about at the middle of the top of the curve on each petal, then you get a nice round curve for that petal. And if your points don't happen to be right where you want them, just go ahead and finish putting in the points for your flower, and then you can go back and adjust them once you have all of them in, or even later you can go back and adjust them if you decide that you don't like where they are. So now I've finished putting in all my points, and if I go to one that is a little wonky and I cursor over it, you see that that little round point changes to a four-headed arrow. That means I can move that point as long as my cursor has that little four-headed arrow symbol attached to it. So I can come in and I can make my curves a little bit smoother and my lines a little bit less wonky to make my flower look nice. Okay. And when I'm satisfied with what I have for my petals, I right click. It shows me what my petals look like. And here I have a flat space. And that's because I put the curve too tight for the length of the stitches that are going to hold my ribbon down. So I really would like to edit that.
Judy, is every dot a stitch?
Every dot is a point. Once you right click, you will can actually see the stitches. No, each dot is not a stitch. It's just a guideline for the software to place stitches.
Okay, so do we have to do each petal individually because they're all different sizes?
You have to trace the path as if it were stitching them.
Right. to put the little points in there.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we should just get busy doing that.
Yes, you can do that. And when you're finished, I right clicked once, but my tool is still active. If I right click again, I can finish placing my line. But I still don't like what happened here on this one petal. So I can say, go up and click on edit points, then see what happened to my cursor. Now it has the ribbon symbol on it. And if I click on my line, it shows me my points, and I can cursor over one of them and adjust it so that now I have a point and not a flat spot. And I can come back and do that at any time. Even after I put this in my whole design, I could come back to embellish and edit my ribbon placement by editing the points.
Yes, can I ask something?
Sure.
And the size of the ribbon that you put in was pretty much a visual just to see it onto the screen, because I mean, you know, if you use is that just like a visual thing to see where the ribbons are?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay,
And
that makes sense. Okay.
It's a visual, but it's doing it flat. All
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
When
Yeah.
you switch something with the ribbon attachment, it
Right.
usually it's going to stitch right down the middle of the ribbon.
Okay.
The ribbon in most cases will then fold up and stand up.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I
it
don't
is not
have
laying
it.
flat on
Yeah. Okay. Boy, it'd be nice to have, but
It's a fun toy. It's really a fun toy.
it looks cool, but
So Judy,
Yes,
have
Mary.
you finished setting your ribbon?
Yes.
All right, show me how you edit the points. Mine don't come up when I select it and do edit points.
Okay. Okay. It's selected in the film strip, right?
Right?
I come to edit points. When I get down to where I'm over the ribbon, when I'm not over the ribbon, my cursor is just a little triangle with 3 dots. Is that what your cursor is?
Oh, all right, I see it. Okay,
And
thank
then when
you.
you come down and you're actually over the ribbon design and click, then your points show up.
Yeah, I was looking for the points before I got that far. Thank you.
I know, I did too. And then once you're finished adjusting your points, you're going to right click again and say finish selecting embellishments.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks.
Okay. Any
So
other?
does it matter how many points you put down? It doesn't really.
No, it doesn't. But I mean, you don't need a lot of points. I mean, you could space them pretty far apart, and usually the fewer points you use, the better your shape will be, especially curves. I mean, because, you know, just 3 points make you a really nice curve at the end of your petals.
Okay.
And once you have placed the stitches, as you're moving the points around, you can see how it affects those stitches because they show underneath your line of points. And if they're not following that line, and let me go way in on this. Okay. Let me come to here. If I move this point here and my stitches are this dark pink line here, if I move this, Oh yeah, now you're not going to do it for me, are you? You rat fink. There, see where my line is wonky, but my stitch doesn't follow my line. It goes, the stitches are straight. So you have to have a gentle curve for the stitch to make a curve. You can't bend a stitch in the middle. Let me say it that way. Okay.
So Judy, when I zoom into mine like that,
Mm-hmm.
I see an area that doesn't have ribbon. So you said I can go back and add that?
You can insert points.
Right click?
Up there by edit points, you should have an insert points.
I think mine's done. Mine's different. Let's see.
Well,
Yeah, I don't know.
she doesn't have anything different here about the Mac except at the very bottom of page 13 on how to finish.
Okay, where would that be?
Okay, I've popped myself out of.
I added some more points, so it's probably fine.
Okay.
Hey, Judy,
Yes, Liz?
when you're doing that ribbon thing, if you have a point on top of a point, does the ribbon put two dealies, whatever, however it works? Does it put two? Yeah.
Okay, let me do this again. Okay, you're saying like if you have 2 points like that?
Yeah.
On top of the other? Well, I would recommend that you get rid of one. I mean, no, it's not, the points are not stitches. The points are a guideline for the machine to place stitches. So if
well, it would happen more when you got down to the center where you would have a bunch of points.
But look here, when I've zoomed way in and I've got, it looked like I had a point on top of points. Can you see the little black line that makes a kind of a goofy little loop there?
Yeah.
So I would get rid of one of those points.
Does the ribbon attachment follow that line?
The stitches follow the line. The ribbon attachment is just going to put down the stitches.
All right, so you got that little curly Q there, so that means that the ribbon is going to follow that line around. I have never used the ribbon. I don't have it, so.
Okay, so if I've got myself a little curly Q here,
yeah. See
the dark pink line that just kind of ignores that curly Q? So this is your stitch line, the dark pink.
Oh, not the line where the dots are. The stitch line is the dark line.
Yes, ma'am, it is. You're going to have an angled straight piece right here.
Okay.
Okay, so but I still would go back and get rid of points.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. Gotcha.
Thank you. All righty. So now we have a ribbon flower, and for now it's sitting on top of our metallic thread flower. So if I zoom back out, oopsie, let me fix my points here. I was helping Liz. All right, so I have a goofy petal. I don't care. I'm not gonna probably stitch this out. So on our film strip, right now, our ribbon flower is sitting on top of our other flower. So our ribbon flower is selected, so we can, oops, I gotta finish it, separate them so that that you're seeing both of them in your work area. All right. Now we're on page 14, number 49. All right. Everybody there? Anybody need to have something answered, explained, or whatever at this point? Okay. All right. So page 14, and we're going to add another kind of embellishment. We're going to add something called the decorations. And like I said before, that can be things like individual beads, sequins, hot fix crystals, or whatever. So up here, still in the embellish tab, select the decoration symbol up here on the top left. When you do that, come on, where are you? Oh, I'm sorry, my fault. Once you've selected the decoration tab, then come over here and select a shape. Drop that down to see all the shapes that are available and scroll down until you find this one, which is number 47. Would be so handy if they put the numbers there and we didn't have to cursor over them to find them, but we want number 47, and we want to pick place shape, which means it's going to put it in our work area. When we say place shape, before it can place the shape, it needs to know which decoration we're going to use. And there are a large number of various kinds of decorations. So scroll down to about almost halfway, where your slider bar is almost in the middle. And I have picked the high sheen sequin 5-point star. Once you pick that, you see a preview of what the star looks like straight on and then at an angle. You can pick the color that you want your sequin to be, and I've picked purple. You can also pick the size that you want your sequin to be, and Janie asks us to pick it at 6 millimeters. And again, she said yellow, but yellow won't show up that you can see it very well, so I have picked purple. All right. And we don't we don't want to change anything else in the selection box here, so we're just going to say okay. And in the middle of our hoop, which is difficult to see, and I'm moving mine out so you can see this, it makes 2 circles, one inside the other, of those purple sequins. Now, this is probably a good place to save this in case you need a backup. So if you go to your file and save, if you save the same name that you used before, it's going to overwrite that one. I kind of like to if I saved the first one as placemat, I would save this as placemat 2, but it's up to you how you want to do that. All right.
Why would you change the name? You wouldn't want to just update the one you had?
Well, no, if I wanted to go back to a particular step rather than just having, one consolidated thing. It's up to you on how you work.
I don't think I'm sure.
I always, if I wanted to say I wanted to stop it, have a saved one of this at this particular point, and knowing that I was going to do other things later, but I would do certain things and then save that and not overwrite what I had here, because I could then come back to the one that I had at this point and do something different and come out with a different design in the end. Does that make sense to say it that way? It gives me a jumping off place to do something different if I want to.
Okay, makes sense.
Or if I goof up bad and think it's okay, but I save it over top of this step, I can't get back to this step without starting from the beginning and coming forward again. That's, just my theory of how to do it. You can do it either way. It's up to you.
That makes sense.
Good. All right. All right. So we're going to add a little B here. And to find him, we are going to the Create tab. And we are going to Express Design. And when we select the Express Design, we get two options. We can either express design into the hoop, or we can express design into a rectangle that we would draw. But we're going to do it into the hoop. And our Express Design wizard pops up. And we are going to create Express Embroidery is already selected, which is what we want. So we're going to go to Next. And in our choices in the Choose Picture window, we are going to choose Create New Picture. So if we click on that, it links us into Draw and Paint again. And we want to go to the Insert tab, and you see your note there, Diane. And we're going to come over to the right to the little flower that says Design Gallery. We're going to open the Design Gallery, and we're going to select Bugs and Insects, which I have been there before, so that's what comes up on mine. We're going to click on this little bee, the second critter here, and say Open. And unlike other things, when you say Open, this window doesn't close. So you have to click on Close to close up that window. Now over in the right-hand section, there are areas that deal with the line, the fill. You could draw something, you could do something with the points, and you could edit. We edited before to move that flower background to the center of the hoop. This time we are going to deal with the top section, which deals with the lines in our design. And over at the right, the X over the line says we want to remove the line. That means we're going to if you look at the B, he has black outlines around each segment of his design. So if we click on remove line, those black outlines disappear, which is what we want to happen. And that's all we wanted to do in Draw and Paint. We picked our B, we took the outlines off. So we're going to close Draw and Paint. It brings our B into our Express Design Wizard. And at this point, we've got our picture, so we're saying next. Now, all of this checkerboard background here is transparent. That's just kind of a universal way of showing a transparent background. The only thing that is really here is the B. And so we want to get rid of all the excess background. If we select automatic down here under select all, we're going to click on automatic, and the software will recognize that all that checkerboard means nothing, and we'll crop our picture to the size of the B. So we've cropped it to the size we want, and we will say next. Then we want to tell the wizard how big we want our B to be. So we are going to say enter design size. We want to tell it the size of the B in height. So we will come down to the bottom on the left here and click on height. And then in the size box, we will type 2 and the double quote, the symbol for inches. We want our B to be 2 inches tall and say next. And now we get a 2-inch tall B, and if we wanted to, we could do something with the colors, but we're happy with the colors that we have, so we're just going to say next. And now we have our little B stitched in stitches, and we can just finish because he's like we want him. And he shows up again in our film strip in his own little frame, and he is a design object, like a digitized object, and he's sitting right here in the middle of our hoop. All right, so now we need to do a little bit of editing on our B. So his frame is selected. We can right click over at that frame and use the second option in the pop-up box, edit in digitizing. All right. Let's see. Now we have lots of things in the film strip for our little B, and what we want to work with is the pattern fill in all of the different parts of our B. So if we select one of the pattern fills and right click on it, and in our pop-up menu, we come down to the bottom and select global properties. We can.
Judy, can I ask a question real quick?
Yes, ma'am.
So when we pick global properties, it's going to find all the pattern fills and change them?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, just checking.
That's what the global does for you, to find everything like that and treat it as one. All right. Okay, so we're editing and digitizing, and we are in we did global properties, and it brings us to the fill area and line. On the pattern fill side here, we're going to drop down the box, and we're going to pick the fourth one, which says shape fill. When we select that, we get an opportunity to pick what kind of a shape we want, and we want to go to shape number 52, which is this little flower shape. And we also can change the density. So that we want to be 12. So our density is 12, our shape is number 52, and we are going to say, okay. And you can see now that I want to zoom in. Oops, I shouldn't have done that. I'm going to go back. Sorry. I did that every time I practice this too. So I want my density to 12, my shape to be 52. Whoopsie. And I want to change my line here. Instead of saying no border line, I want to change that to a triple stitch. Sorry. Is everybody caught up with my mistake here? You okay? If not, holler and I'll
How
give
do we get, so we go back to shape fill, no border line, and then down where it says type, we click triple, my triple stitch won't,
okay, let me go back, Diane. I'm
and
going,
for some reason, I don't have page 16, and that's the page we're on. My printer.
right, okay. When you got your fill area in line and you went to shape fill,
Right?
got this extra thing here. You got density, and you changed that to 12.
Yep,
You changed your shape to number 52.
yep.
And up here at the top where it says no border line, you drop that down and pick triple stitch.
Okay, that's where it was.
Okay,
And then click OK, and the triple stitch length.
don't mess with it.
Okay, so just click OK.
Just click OK. All right.
Got it.
All right, now, in order to do our next thing, we need to zoom into our B, which is not in your handout. Whoopsie, I did that too. Okay. You want to be able to see the whole B, okay? And you want to go to each shape here and select it. Once you've selected it, you're going to see all the points around the shape, and you're going to see this orange O in the center. That's known as the origin point of where your shape begins. But you can cursor over that and you get the four-headed arrow, your move indicator, and you can move that origin point to wherever you want in that shape. So it can look like the shape is coming out from the point on the wing instead of being in the middle of the wing, like over here. So you want to, Janie has a little picture in the handout here of how she would change them. You can change them however you want and move the origin points around so that the lines of the stitching look like you would like them to be. Does that make sense? Just click on each individual shape, and even though the origin point, like the bottom half of the wing here, is sitting on top of the top wing, you can still grab it and move it to wherever you would like so that the lines on that part of your bee look like you would like them to. And it's kind of a cool concept that you can move things around and change the way they look just by moving that origin point. Is that working? I can still see all of you, so you can nod your head yes or no or whatever.
This is detail at a level I never even knew existed.
See, I told you there was a lot of new good stuff in here.
And then I'm like, Kimberbell off the shelf, which I can't even believe what goes into this. It's mind blowing to me.
Well, it certainly has a lot of opportunity in the software. It's a very powerful.
Oh, I can't even believe how powerful it is.
So, yeah.
Crazy.
Besides that, it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, it is amazing.
Yes, it is. Okay. So, we're still in digitizing. We've got our bee reformed, if you will, to be what we want him to. Too many bees here. But we're finished with him, so we can close our digitizing window and go back to our embroidery window. All right. Excuse me, I neglected to mention that when we added our ribbon design, when we came back to embroidery, it also added this green outline box on our hoop. That green outline box is the limit of the size that you can put any of the embellishment designs into that particular hoop, because the ribbon attachment or the embellish attachment has to have a lot more room to maneuver. It's a much larger footprint in the hoop than any of the feet that we have that we use in embroidery. So we have to give it extra space, and that's the space outside of this green box. And any ribbon or other embellishment design that you would create and make part of a design or the whole design has to be contained within that green box. Otherwise, the design will not load into the embroidery mode in your machine. All right.
Just like in our case, just the ribbon part and the sequence part. The others don't have to be, right?
No, the sequin part does not have to be, because
Oh, that's right, because you're not using the attachment. You're just doing little X's. Okay.
right.
But the
And Mary,
ribbon.
yeah, you bring up a really good point, Mary. For people who don't know, the sequin design that we put in here does not actually sew the sequins into the embroidery hoop. It will, you can tell it what kind of markers it should stitch for you to hand place your sequins. It will, most people will select a little X or a little cross, and it will stitch a little cross where you are to put each one of these sequins or beads or whatever kind of decoration that you have selected. It will not actually put the decoration on to your embroidery fabric. Okay? Yeah, just anything that uses the ribbon attachment or the embellish attachment, those designs must be contained within this green box. These other designs, like these swirl designs can be outside or overlap this green box, because those are just ordinary embroidery designs and will be stitched with the embroidery foot, not the embellish or ribbon attachment. So the machine is perfectly fine with having normal embroidery designs outside of the green box.
But you said it wouldn't load into the embroidery unit.
It won't load into the embroidery mode part of the machine if this, like this ribbon design, if I put it outside of the green box, but as long as it's in the green box, the machine is perfectly happy.
Oh, okay.
Laura?
Yeah. So Judy, if it's just marking placement for beads or whatever sequins, can it be outside that box or does it have to be inside the box?
No, the only thing that has to be inside the box is if you're going to mount your ribbon attachment or your embellish attachment in order to stitch that one out.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So,
Judy, if we wanted, I mean, let's say we wanted to stitch this, but we don't have sequins. How could we go back and just change that to stitched stars as opposed to sequin stars?
well, then you would not use the embellish tab. You would just use the
Design tab.
digitize tab.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Judy,
Yes, ma'am.
do you know off the top of, or maybe we'll get to it, you know, like right now, our ribbon is in the middle of our stitch sequence.
Right.
Will it automatically sort it to the end?
Yes, the machine will do that.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. It does.
Yeah, so you can't stitch on top of the ribbon once the ribbon lays.
Yeah. You don't want to, yes.
No, I didn't think you wanted to, but I wanted to, yeah, thank
Okay. Well, yeah. Let me say, yes, you're right. It will, the machine automatically sorts them by type of design, and if it finds an embellishment design, it will put it to the end. Just like with the embellish attachment, if you have ribbon and yarn and beads all in one design, it will do the yarn first and then the ribbon and then the beads, no matter what sequence you have presented them to it in your design. Because those things I stitched out for Janie for convention, it shuffled them for me.
you.
Mm-hmm. Good thing the machine is smart. Okay, so now we've made it to page 17. And Janie has a little side note here about in the Create tab that over here on the right, you could also add or create cross-stitch designs or sketch designs and add them into like this placemat embroidery that we're building here. This is just kind of an aside to say that those options are available to you. Right now, we're not using anything, and we're going on to number 68. And it's your chance to rearrange, resize, rotate, whatever you want to do to make a pleasing arrangement of these designs that you have in your work area. And on page 17, she shows a possibility that she has made of rearranging, resizing, rotating these designs that we now have on our work area. So in her life view, you don't see the ribbon flower because she did it from life view. And if I go to life view, all it shows, it doesn't show the ribbon because the ribbon is not actually being stitched out by the machine. It's just stitching straight stitches to put the ribbon down. So that's what your ribbon design is going to look like in life view. It's just going to be the stitches that you put those points around the petals for. And I don't know whether because she had made hers yellow that the color didn't pick up on this picture or what, but just rearrange them, resize them, rotate them, do whatever you want to make your arrangement. Just make, the only restriction is that ribbon flower has to stay within that green box. It can be anywhere in that green box, but it has to stay in there. All the rest of the embroideries can hang out to the edges of the hoop. However, one thing that's going to be added to the hoop is a border which goes all the way around the outside of the hoop. So you want to leave some space around the outside, like at least 1 square or maybe 1.5 squares. And also she's going to have us put names on in a space up here at the top middle inside of the border for the placemats. So keeping those kind of things in mind, go ahead and rearrange your placemat however you would like it to be.
So Judy, if I click on the Candlewick Stitch fleur-de-lis thing, if I want to change the size of that, I can't use the resize feature, so I have to just drag that green handles to make it smaller?
Right. If you want to keep it in proportion, then you're going to hold down your command key because that makes it keep its proportions.
Okay.
Okay. Is it command or shift? It's shift.
It worked fine with command for me.
Okay. And you can rotate it. You can use the little arrow on the side to flip it.
Right.
Or whatever. And I kind of made
Is there a reason you can't use the resize? I always get nervous because, you know, when you change the size of something, if the stitch count is too big, you know, if you make it smaller but you don't resize it so that the stitch count is smaller,
right,
then you end up with problems. But the resize isn't an option for me. It's like if I have let's say I have the B highlighted and the squares around it, resize is not something I can do. I can't click on the resize thing. Now I can change it by dragging it, you know, change the size of it.
yeah.
I should see if that changes the stitch count. Yeah, it does.
Since they're not fixed as stitches yet.
Oh,
Right.
that's probably why. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That comes later where she has us do the fix as stitches. Right now we're working with kind of working files.
That makes sense.
Okay.
My brain's tired. Am I the only one?
No. No, you're not.
No, you're not, Diane.
Are we gonna be able to finish this today?
Okay, that's just what I was going to bring up. I got a call this morning that said, is this gonna be 2 lessons?
Yeah,
It, you know, if your brains are tired and we're, 10 minutes from 4 o'clock, this is a good place that we can stop and attack the rest of this next month, if that is what you would like to do.
Good idea.
What does everybody think?
yeah. I vote yes.
Me too.
Okay. Sandy?
Whatever anybody wants, I'm fine. We
Liz?
didn't go dancing tonight, so it's okay.
So
Laura?
that would be the 15th.
All right, I don't have that calendar.
I just, they switched my work day to Friday, so I'll have to, it's interfering with my classes.
We'll talk to your boss about that.
I'm gonna have to do that.
Are you gonna have to take off early on Friday, the Friday we have the class?
Yeah, that might work. Or sometimes Jennifer and I are trying to just be super flexible to swap days. So she'll probably swap with me if I just know far enough ahead.
Okay, well, that would be good, and maybe by then your printer will learn to cooperate and you can get the rest of the handout.
We bought a new printer, which was a mistake, and I really am really tempted to take it back. I mean, I like it has the bottle ink instead of the cartridges, but I'm struggling with connectivity issues a little bit.
Well,
But that's not our problem.
okay.
All I know is I clearly need this class.
Well, there's quite a bit, I mean, there's probably a good hour or so more. And I'm sure we can find another cute little project that's just a few that would fill in the remainder of the time for next time.
Perfect.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Okay, Meg, you okay with that?
I'm fine with that. And we'll still be here on the 15th.
Okay.
15th of April. Oh, okay. April. Okay.
Oh, the
Yeah.
15th of April. That sounds
Okay.
like,
Yeah.
I'm fine with it.
you're good with it? Thanks, Liz.
Okay.
Laura's good. Peggy, you good? Are you there?
Who?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm good.
Okay. Lee, can you hear me? Is your internet still connected?
I can hear you.
All right. Do you have any questions about what we did today? Does anybody have any questions or comments?
We gave our brain a workout, I know that.
Yeah, I went through this a few times
Wow.
before
It's
I
quite a bit.
felt halfway comfortable with it. But Janie's got something in her head.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank
Okay.
Judy, thank you so much.
Yep.
All
Thanks.
right, thank you. Bye.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
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 you, ladies.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Okay. Don't know how to get out of here. Oh. All right. All right. Lee, you okay? All right. Let me tell Karen we're done. Okay.